but it has been a long weekend. So sorry about that.
Just a quick,
Um,
it's a shirt. I don't know. It looks weird in this picture. Yeah.
no, I think you both look quite good, especially
Thank you.
compared to this side of the camera. Um, so do you guys want to start off just telling me sort of what you both do, what you both, where you're currently working, that kind of thing. Just give me, and like who you are, that, a little short biography.
Right. Do you want us to mention company names as well?
Oh no, you don't have to. It's just I'm just trying to give, yeah, I'm
A
just trying to
back.
get you comfortable talking.
Yeah.
That won't be put in. So
Okay, you go for it.
All right. I'm Wayne Davies. Obviously, you know that one. Yeah. So basically, been working for the last 4 years. Graduated from University of Pretoria, Industrial Engineering, and then I had a bursary with Siemens, and I've basically been working their bursary off, and yeah, just moving through different roles at the moment, eh? So trying different things, getting exposure to various areas and industries, and so far it's been quite good. Mm.
Okay, I'm Neelofar, and I started at Siemens about 5.5 years ago. I also studied industrial engineering, so we do have a lot in common. And then I started as a project engineer and worked myself through the ranks of the company, and now I'm project managing. So it's nice being exposed to many different aspects of it. And
okay, cool.
now I just need to pick up.
That's cool. So what exactly is industrial engineering? Could you give people a very brief sort of sense of what that entails work-wise?
Well, the way I look at it, industrial engineering, they try to teach you problem solving and engineering style, but applying it into business. And the idea is to bring in efficiencies into processes and business and stuff like that to add more value for the end customer. And they're doing it through various ways, but the idea is you balance in man, money, machine to get an optimum solution. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas
Okay.
usually engineers just see the engineering side of it and only want to deal with the engineering problems, and they don't want to see the bigger picture. With industrial engineers, we have a broad aspect of like what what a change involves other than just the engineering side.
Yeah, so we try be the connection between non-engineers and engineers. So we kind of have decent people skills. I'm not saying all engineers have bad people skills or whatever, but they tend to be more technical. Where we try bridge that technical side with kind of the layman's terms and stuff like that. So from our perspective, we understand technical side, and we try to bring it into more of a mainstream, if you want to call it that.
Or bring into business terms
Yeah.
for everyone to understand.
Cool. So what made you decide to follow industrial engineering and pursue it as a career? Is there any particular reason, or was it something that you just sort of found yourself moving towards?
For me, it was for myself moving towards. When I was finishing high school, I was just trying to figure out what to do, and basically engineering played to my strengths. So I was looking into a different kind of engineering fields, and none of them really appealed to me except for industrial. So I kind of just fell into industrial. It wasn't one event that said I want to be in industrial. It was more my strengths.
Oh,
Where's the
okay.
strategic planning on Wayne's Farm? No, I thought it was aeronautical engineering. I started doing it, and by second year, I was just like, oh, this is not for me. And you know, our school at WITS was aero, mechanical, and industrial. And then I started finding out more about industrial, and I was like, that suits me and my personality more and what I want to do. So I left at aero, and I finished with industrial.
Okay,
So
cool.
my chance.
Cool. So why are you guys looking to move? Sort of, I don't know if it's if you're looking purely to move for your career, or if you're planning to move because you kind of want to change locations, that kind of thing. Can you give me sort of a sense of what you're kind of looking for in this pursuit?
For both of us, I think we've been in the company for 4 years now, and although we have range for growth within the company, we just need to see change. We need something different. We need different challenges. We need a new environment.
Experience something different.
Yeah, and grow. Otherwise, you tend to kind of see guys in Siemens that end up being lifers, and we don't want that. We want something
You're
different.
kind of in a bubble where you just don't know anything else.
Yeah.
So, you know, if we stay here, I feel that we'll both move quite quickly through the company, and it won't be much of a challenge. But I think that we both want to leave just to know that we can get a challenge somewhere else, and we'd probably be just as good. I just feel that if I stay here, I would never know if I would have succeeded anywhere else, you know, because it's just so easy here.
Yeah, we basically at that crossroads where an easy choice and a hard choice. You know, easy choice is to stay in the company,
And move
continue,
quickly.
and the hard choice is to, you know, push yourself into an uncomfortable
Position.
position or outside your comfort zone, and that's where you grow. So yeah, that's what we kind of need.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm from Joburg, so I know the movement thing.
When did
But I
you
suppose
move?
that was just for university. Yeah, so it's less terrifying. And also, yeah, just Joburg's huge, so I suppose there's that aspect as well, where it's kind of when you move to like move locations, then you get more of a sense of a new place,
Yeah.
rather than being in the same place forever.
You know, well, we both also been overseas when we were like younger and stuff, Middle East and stuff. So, you know, we were aware of the change and stuff and the good that it brings. So we've obviously been
The good and the bad. We know what comes with it. It's just that I think we need that change now because it's just too comfortable, and I just think it's too easy.
Yeah, fair enough. So if you could give me, I'll ask this question again later when I speak to you both individually, but just to get a sense of what you're both looking for in terms of when we approach people with these interviews, what is who are the type of people and type of companies you're hoping will see it and be interested?
Okay, do you want me to go? So position-wise, let me start there. I want to go into a managerial position where I would at least deal with operations and people and things like that, but there would have to be a business aspect. So that would involve, you know, business strategy, how would you position your company. So you'd want to say like a divisional manager so that you have the people aspect and you're taking your business somewhere. So you have goals and targets that you need to reach. And then on a personal side, what would I like? Like definitely a positive environment where you know that you could grow and you could make a change to most things. But everything would need a challenge because if it's just all too positive and too happy and, you know, then it just would be, again, too easy. And then you would get bored and, you know, so just I don't know how to put it into the exact words, but
well,
you want a good environment where you can grow, but you want some challenges with it.
yeah, otherwise you wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, from my side as well, I think I just want to progress through the career, so obviously taking on more responsibilities, going up, and eventually getting into a similar position where in management and you're dealing with sorting out issues, applying your mind. You know, I'm also quite analytical, sorry, and stuff. So I also enjoy crunching on numbers and motivating decisions, and approaching a problem in like a methodical way, and then getting everyone's inputs, using data, all that kind of stuff to actually come to like very good decisions and stuff. So yeah, my next move is also just slowly building responsibilities and levels of responsibilities, just moving up the ladder, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't know if you guys feel like you're slightly more comfortable now, but if you do, then I don't know who would like to go first, but either way it's fine.
Wayne's gonna go for it.
I'll go first.
So it's just the questions that you gave us.
Yeah, so basically with those questions, I wanted to keep them quite brief so you could expand as much as possible because obviously you have far more in-depth insight into what it is that you do. So I'd like to keep the questions quite simple because then you can actually expand on them and take them as they sort of apply to you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I can understand. So do you edit the video, put it together and show it to people, or do you just...
No, I edit it, don't worry. So if there's any like pauses or anything that's like maybe like, I don't know, because I tend to swear when I get nervous. So anything like that would be edited out. And then it will be a far shorter video with the option of seeing a longer one, You know, there'll be
Okay.
like a 5-minute video with like highlights, and then if people want to see the actual longer interview answers, then they can look at that. But I will edit everything so that it looks as good as possible.
Okay. Okay.
Like, for
And
instance,
if
I will not be in any of this. Like, I am
yeah,
not going to actually be on the
You
other
won't get
side.
anything. Yeah. Okay. And then would we be able to see it before you showed it to other people?
Yeah, you know, of course. I would send it to you for, like, before we ever considered sending it out, because obviously this represents you, so we wouldn't want to put something out there that you're not happy being out
well,
there.
yeah,
Because my job is to make you look as awesome as physically possible, so that people want to hire you immediately.
Okay.
And obviously, you know what you want to come across like, and you understand your industry and how important it is for you to come across intellectually in that industry. And I don't really understand the industry as well as you do, so you'd have
Okay.
better knowledge of what you want to put across.
mm,
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
right, yeah. So I'll start.
Okay. Um, So,
Right,
again, we're going to go over some of these questions that I've already just asked you, but now you can go into far more depth on your personal side and that kind of thing. So, in terms of your job title, obviously, can you sort of reiterate what it is and what it is that you do
yeah,
in a
no, right.
simple way?
Yeah, my current job title is order manager in a switchgear manufacturing plant. And essentially, the easy way is to explain is as an internal project manager. So we'll get an order in, a client will give us an order, our sales team will hand it over to the factory, and then basically once it gets handed over to the factory, I run with it, and I manage the flow of information between me and the different departments within the manufacturing environment. And the aim is just to start from engineering phase, go into procurement, then we go into the actual production, and then we go into our final factory acceptance test, and then we go into dispatch when the product leaves the factory.
Okay. Why do you think? I mean, okay. So, where does that sit within the actual structure of your company? Sort of. So, what sector does that lie in?
All right, well, basically it's an operational side.
Yeah.
So obviously we're in the manufacturing environment, so we're right at the forefront, like, actually putting the product together. And within the company, my role, it's a key role because it's basically it's like project management. We're having to coordinate activities, coordinate people, coordinate information to ensure that the job runs as smoothly as possible, and basically gets out the factory door as quickly as possible so the company can realize profits.
Okay, cool. So it's quite I mean, it's quite an in-depth process, and obviously the purpose of it is to ensure um, that profit margins stay but at optimal, like an optimal amount, and that everything flows you know very very well. And so, do you have this when you do your work? Is there like a sort of sense that you get of achievement in the actual what you're
Yeah,
do you get a sense of pride in like the sort of what the actual system you're running,
yeah,
does?
absolutely. Yeah. In the role, you're basically dealing with a lot of different people of different levels. So you're dealing with guys multidisciplined. You're dealing with engineering guys who are electrical, mechanical. You're dealing guys with in procurement. You're dealing with guys in the production floor. So there's that challenge where you have to be able to handle different personalities and stuff like that. And then the pride comes into play is when you start doing the work and you're putting something together, and then you kind of disseminate the information to the relevant people, and then you see the stuff happening, and and it happens in the right ways. And when it doesn't happen in the right way, you correct it, and then when you run the process again or whatever, it runs well. So there's that sense of pride that you're actually adding value within the process. I definitely find that when in this role at the moment.
Okay, so how do you? I mean, it must be quite a struggle considering you've mentioned you're dealing with a number of different people and communicating with them, and they're not exactly all in the exact same basis, and that kind of thing. So how do you navigate dealing with that sort of communication and ensuring that the like line of communication is never broken.
Yeah, that's it's definitely the tricky part of the role. Um, uh, you know, basically the idea is that try assist wherever possible and to resolve problems as opposed to laying blame and saying, it's your fault, you did it wrong, I'm just going to leave you. The idea is to say, all right, I understand that there's the issue. How do we sort this out? How do I help you? What do you need? What kind of information or assistance do you need? And sometimes, obviously, it does break down, and there's conflicts and stuff like that, and that's unavoidable. But the idea is to, if something does go wrong, if I'm at fault, I'll go say, I'm sorry, got emotional and maybe was out of turn, but, we have an objective to do, we have a goal that we have to reach, and, just try, discuss it out, instead of trying to hold a grudge and stuff. So on that, it can be quite tricky, but and rewarding at the same time. The difficulty also comes in when people don't really do their work, and then unfortunately you have to go up to a management role because you've tried everything you can, but it doesn't work.
Okay. And so obviously this is one sort of step, like a rung on the ladder, in order to achieving what your aims and goals are as a professional. So do you have a particular, like looking forward, is there a particular exact position you'd like to be in, or a certain sector or area you'd like to sort of focus on as you move up? Or is it sort of your kind of, you'd like to feel your way through it?
At the moment, we'll feel my way through it. I don't have a exact position or industry or whatever that I want to go into. I feel like now I'm just building my skill sets to allow me to be able to go into any environment, but just apply a methodical approach and a systematic approach to dealing with things, whether it's problem solving, decision making, understanding how a team works, understanding key positions, the key information that's needed. So at this point in time, I don't really have a specific position that I want to go into. I just want to kind of grow my skill sets. So I just want to put myself in, like I said, get out my comfort zone, so I can grow as a person, as a professional, and that's my key. I definitely want to see myself as a person in a position of influence. I feel like I can add value to a company in that sense. So yeah, at the moment I don't have specifics, but I know I can add value with my skill sets.
Okay. So you've mentioned your skill sets quite a lot. Could you sort of outline where you think your greatest skills lie? Or is it, I don't know if that's like a weird question, I suppose.
No, absolutely. I do believe you have to understand your strengths so that you can complement your environment with other people's strengths. You complement your weaknesses with other people's strengths. And I'm very analytically orientated. So I like to use numbers to motivate the situation, and like I've said, like when a problem comes up, systematically approach it. So my skill set is centered around the analytical side, definitely, and I love the learning side, so continuously growing and continuously learning. I enjoy that side of it a lot, and I have the kind of a enjoyment when I restore something back to its kind of former glory in a sense. So, if you're in an environment and the things aren't quite working well, I do enjoy trying to bring that back to how to say, a position where it's giving the value that it should. So bringing it from a broken state to a fixed state.
Okay.
That answer, I'm not too sure.
Well, I suppose in that sense, you're continuously seeing yourself grow and adjust and change professionally. And while you notice that, have you noticed your particular industry any changes or growth or anything that's of particular interest in the time that you've been working in it?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe obviously with the whole digitalization, us moving more towards technology and stuff like that, I feel that in the manufacturing environments, the companies are going to get their competitive edge through effective leverage of technology. This is using AutoCAD, which is like a design software kind of thing. Just basically using technology to improve the ability to deliver. Now, the industry, I believe, globally is moving towards that. You have robotics, you have smarter PCs, programs, all of that kind of stuff. The weakness at the moment, especially in South Africa, comes along our skill sets. We're lagging a bit behind in terms of the educational side, and we're not getting enough people with the right skills to take advantage of the new technologies. So that's going to be the biggest challenge in the industry. But the competitive edge will definitely come from the technology. So it's getting that balance, that's what they've got to work towards.
Okay. Well, this is just out of personal interest. So how would you utilize AutoCAD? Just because I know AutoCAD and I've used it. So I'm just curious as to how you would apply AutoCAD to your industry.
All right, well, the product that we actually manufacture at the moment is a switchgear. It's almost like a DB board of a house, but a lot bigger, or a mine or something. So you have a lot of components and products that go in there. So you would use something, for example, this thing called AutoCAD, which is like AutoCAD, but more on the electrical side. So basically, the environment we have now is the guys have a drawing program that they use, but they create a BOM, which is the list of materials for their drawing on a separate system. So if the guy changes a component on the drawing, it doesn't automatically change here. So there's a lot of more labor-intensive work to match the two up. But like if you implement something like AutoCAD, it actually integrates those two processes. So you can develop your drawings along with the list of components. So if you automatically change something in the drawing, it'll update the bonds and stuff like that. So you're taking out unnecessary work because now you have a technology that can do it for you. So now you're more efficient and your deliverables are of better quality.
So in that sense, I'm getting what I'm picking up is that with the technologicalization, I don't know what the word would be, but with the move towards using technology more extensively in these processes, obviously the time required to do certain things will be sped up exponentially. But also that then means that obviously your profit margins would go up and that kind of thing. But does that mean that obviously your particular resources, i.e., in like employees and stuff, that's going to change? So what are your feelings on that sort of thing? Would it?
Well, that's what that's for South Africa. That's the difficulty. Obviously we've had a lot of labor unrest and strikes and stuff like that, and we're falling behind in terms of our skill sets. And getting that balance is important. And unfortunately, that's a systemic thing within our whole government and society. There, it can't be fixed by one industry alone. It can definitely help, but that's the biggest challenge. You're having to deal with sacrificing jobs for efficiencies and improvements, and then you lose jobs. So it's a vicious cycle. So companies of the future are going to have to figure out how they can also assist governments in building those skill sets. And that's definitely going to be the biggest challenge. And like I said, it can't be one industry that do it. It's definitely a countrywide thing.
Yeah. So do you think that's sort of like in a sense, what like a business culture would be termed as for South Africa? That's a large issue that we're kind of faced with across the board.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And then I suppose, do you feel like there are any other areas in like the business culture of South Africa that's where it's either excelling or it's falling short? Just particularly like a national thing, not I suppose not worldwide.
Yeah, no, I actually do. I've thought about that one, and I think where South Africa is good in a general business cultural sense is that we have the desire to improve and get better, and we seem to be really good at putting plans in place, like the National Development Plan, that can get us to a better future. That's where we excel. Unfortunately, where we fall short is the implementation side. I feel sometimes our work ethic is low. Our productivity levels are low compared to the rest of the world. and we almost have a sense of entitlement, which kind of counteracts our desire to improve. So until we can figure out how we can come to the implementation side, no matter how good our plans are and how well they work on paper, until we can figure out how we can improve work ethics, our productivity, remove that sense of entitlement. People feel like they deserve the work, and then for some reason they don't actually feel like they have to work. You know what I mean? So if they can figure out those things and get the implementation side right, I think South Africa will be definitely moving forward. But that's difficult. Now you're talking a cultural thing, so it's a top-down, and the leaders have to start leading. Showing people how it should be done.
Yeah. So if I ask you the same sort of question but geared towards your particular industry and the work that you do, if there are particular areas where the processes fall short or where they excel really well, and if you'd have any particular insights in the betterment of or improvement of the way that processes function.
Yeah, well, with my environment at the moment, the shortcomings are the way the managers are actually managing their areas. They're letting their staff maybe get away with a bit too much, and they've lost a bit of discipline because they haven't got the loyalty that they need from the staff. So for some reason, when the manager is unable to control his environment, the employee automatically sees kind of an easier way out and kind of doesn't work as they should, or finds any excuse to kind of not do what they have to do because they can see a weakness in the management. So that leadership is very important in that sense. When it comes to the process and stuff like that, I think there's some capability deficiencies, like I've said before. You have the skill shortage, and then combined with everyone being overly cost orientated and driving down costs, there may be neglect the importance of people and quality people in the process, and that can be detrimental. So it's finding that balance, and not just focusing on the money side, the cost side.
Okay, so when you say cost, obviously people they are focused on getting the lowest possible costs or the lowest denominator for everything, so as to ensure higher profit margins.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I suppose that would cause numerous problems. And do you think, in that sort of respect, do you think there would be a way that you could actually speak, or an idea or an incentive you could actually promote and say, well, look, these are my insights because I've seen it happening, and if you balance it out this way or that way, it would actually function far better? Or is that just like sort of a simplistic thing to try to say?
Well, no, well, for me, that's kind of also what my next step I want to get into. I want to get, I have a basic understanding of the financial side, and now my next, skill or area I want to learn is that financial side. So, I'm saying this and I understand the financial side, but I would like to go into a position where I'm actually able to view it and get an understanding of the financials and, discuss it and actually make critical decisions based on those finances. So at this point in time, that's just my belief. I don't actually have the insights into how the financials actually work in the company, in the sense that I don't get exposed to it,
Yeah. Okay, no, cool. Let's think. So where you're progressing from where you are now, obviously you've just mentioned you want to look more into sort of finances and that kind of thing. But are there particular, as you said, there's not a particular role or anything that you're looking for, but what kind of work environment are you looking for that could sort of help you find those sort of areas that you'd be interested in working in?
No, work environment I enjoy is that there's a clear direction of where the company wants to go, or business unit, whatever, and basically they have clear direction, and you kind of know where you're going, what you're aiming for, and what your objectives are, and they're able to balance that with a positive team dynamic. The guys are able to do the work when they need to, but they can also see the light-hearted side of life, you know. So definitely getting that balance, and I just feel once you get that direction going, I think I'll learn a lot more. You know, so that's kind of what I'm looking for, is to get into a place where guys know where they're going, what they want, and how they're going to achieve it. You know.
Okay, so that's sort of like a almost like a company ethos kind of thing where you have the sort of structure of the way that the people work kind of dictates the work environment in such a way that it actually runs and functions perfectly. Um,
Yeah.
so I suppose, do you think, I don't know if you'd be able to answer, but do you think that there's any particular way in which companies could achieve that, or is that just, I suppose, up to ensuring that your managers treat their roles like efficiently and then you have the right employees?
Yeah. You know, that kind of thing is down to your quality of your leadership, and you know, it's certain people with that vision, and they're able to drive that direction and drive that plan and drive that structure through the organization. So I think it is very personality specific. You know, some people just know what they want and where they're going, and so it's just finding maybe a company that has that, you know. And yeah, I'm just like, you know, looking for that kind of exposure. You know, at the moment I'm quite interested in the venture capitalist side of things.
I
So
haven't mentioned that.
yeah, so you know, I'm actually quite keen to try find out how I could actually enter into that market and that realm. So you know, I've started looking into it just recently. So trying to see how my skill set can be leveraged, and you know, the whole industrial side can be leveraged to actually get in there and start assisting. Because I do believe that small to medium business is the future of countries. So if you can assist in getting those guys, reducing the red tape, you know, helping out startups, that kind of thing, I think it is definitely the way of the future.
It's quite an interesting thing that you kind of have looked into that because it's not really specific to your current role or anything. So,
Absolutely not.
would you say that it was just sort of more of something that piqued your interest, and then you kind of, once you had looked into it, it was something that you actually thought, well, you know, I could apply what I actually know and do
Yeah,
to
no, like
this as well.
yeah, this is what I've been talking about. You know, the role I've been in has been teaching me good skills, and I don't see myself remaining in the manufacturing environment the rest of my life. The skill set that I'm trying to develop within myself is quite general, so it can be applied to multiple industries. And at the moment, that's an industry that definitely piques my interest. Um, just because it's exciting and there's a sexiness to it, and you know, you're helping out, adding value to the community at large and the country at large. So it's definitely sparked a little fire. So I'm trying to throw a bit more fuel onto that fire, you know, to get it going. So just trying to figure out where the cracks are, where I can get in, you know.
Okay. Oh, that's very interesting. It's quite cool. So I suppose then, if you could find something now that could actually help you get into that, that would be sort of an ideal step forward
Yeah,
as you're looking at the moment.
yeah, no, that's
Cool.
definitely.
And then what is it? So if with that in mind, is there any? There's obviously not a particular position, but you know, I'm trying to think of if there would be a particular region of work that would be ideally suited to those sort of interests. And I can't really think of anything right now. I
Mm.
suppose I'm not a
Yeah,
business development person. I'm the video person.
yeah.
um,
Yeah, no, like, I'm starting to try to look into it and just find what would pull me, you know, and you know, obviously I have to figure out what skills I have to build up to enter that at the moment, you know. Um, so that's kind of you know, like I said, I've just started that at the moment, so now I'm just kind of trying to figure out my way of how I'm gonna kind of move into that area.
okay. Um, I suppose just to give people a just to re-ask this question, I already asked you with Neelofar, but So how did you get into the role? It's just so that people sort of have a sense of your
No,
context.
but so I was basically had a bursary with my company that I'm with now, and I was working it off, and I was doing engineering design and logistics, third-party logistics, which is material handling systems. And in that stage, I was mainly focused on tenders. So we were designing systems based on customer requirements, and I did that for a period of 2.5 to 3 years, and it was an interesting field, but I felt like it lacked the more practical, real-world operational side of things. So I basically went to my manager and he said, I'm looking for a new challenge. I want to expand my skill set and my horizons, and I want to get into something operational where it's practical and real world. And they basically found me the position in manufacturing. So I thought about it, and it's exactly what I wanted. So I took it, and with it I got more responsibilities, which is also a good thing because when you're in the tendering environment, um, you're working off a piece of paper and it's not as like hands-on. So it's been nice to actually see the hands-on side of things.
Okay, cool. Um, so I think we might be okay. Unless there's anything particularly more you'd like to state, sort of any more additional context you'd like to give people or anything like that.
Um, just maybe the daily tasks, eh?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, as an order manager, the idea is to try get the job or order out the factory as quickly as possible in order to realize the profits. And the role I'm in is important because it relies on getting information to different functions within the production environment in a timeliest manner. So within a day, I'm dealing with creating material demand used for procurements, and then I'm managing the procurement process. So I'm dealing with the procurement team. Then I'm interacting with our engineering departments, and we're basically solving technical issues that come up from the floor or technical issues that we find from the design side when they're doing a verification of an order. Then I'm also dealing with the production side. So when the guys have issues on the floor that I can assist with, such as like missing parts or information missing, or where I can put some leverage on some managers to get something done, I help out there. So it's a lot of interaction with different functions, and then I'm also talking to suppliers, which is quite nice. So now I get to deal with the supply side of things. So discussing supply errors if they deliver something incorrectly, or figuring out ways where we can make deliveries more efficient for both us and them. And then I'm talking to my project manager who deals directly with the clients. I'll sit with him in meetings and the clients, so I have some client interaction, and we talk quite closely with each other so that we know where the job is and how we're going and that kind of thing. So daily tasks, I feel like I interact with a lot of different people throughout the day, which is good.
Cool.
Mm.
Just out of one big question, out of interest, do you have any particular advice that you would give to people who perhaps, have just matriculated and they're looking into industrial engineering and that kind of stuff? Would you, I mean, would there be anything that you would suggest to them? Unless it's don't do it.
No, actually not. I mean, industrial is the future, eh? No, my belief was when it comes to this side, you got to understand that it is analytically orientated and mathematically orientated. So you do have to enjoy that as a basis. And then if you like the business side of things, it's a great combination in terms of having that mathematical side as well as that business drive, and it's a good combination. And what it does teach you is that systematic, methodical, probably say this quite often, but that problem-solving mentality. Over 4 years, you're learning how to solve problems within the business environment. So it's a challenging course to do. I would recommend it definitely if you enjoy that kind of thing. But it must play to your strengths like anything. So there's no point being forced into doing something that you don't enjoy. because at the end of the day, you
Oh,
want to.
I just came up with a random question. I don't know if this would be something that, you had a particular answer to. But so you mentioned it's very problem-solving orientated, so you kind of end up, fixing whatever goes wrong on a daily basis. Do you have like a particular thing or a particular instance where a problem arose and you managed to resolve the issue and then how you did that? Or is that not something that you could particularly think of?
No, well, at the moment, we've been struggling with our mechanical bonds on our products. And basically, they're not at the quality level that they should be, and they're just causing problems on the floor. So, the problem with this is that we have to identify what has to be done, and kind of list it so we know this kind of mountain that we have to climb, and then break it down into stages to say that this is the mountain, this is a bomb that we have to correct, and we can't do it in one day. So let's break it into small manageable pieces. So not sitting down with the engineering guys and saying, you know, how are we going to do this? And discussing it and interacting and saying, this will take us this much time, and we'll need this person for this kind of role. So when it comes to problem solving, it's kind of that approach, and to try to get people to sit around and say, do you understand what the problem is? Do you understand what we have to do? And do you understand how we have to do it? And that's usually how kind of the problem is approached. So we're in the process of sorting that out, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully we'll get reward, definitely. It's just, can we do it fast enough?
Okay, cool. Well, that's great. Thank you. I
Cool.
think we might have everything for your side. But yeah, while I'm talking to Neelofar, if you have anything that you'd like to add in or anything, just at the end you can pop it in.
All right, cool. Yeah, all right, so I'll get it.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, hi.
Hi. Um, yeah. So I suppose maybe we can just start with, do you want to just give an outline of your name and your title, just very quickly, and then we'll get into the flow of the questions and that kind of thing.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is so weird. My name it is. It's just so. Okay, so my name is Neelofar, and I'm a project manager.
Okay, cool. So could you tell us a bit more about your job title, what it entails, and where it sort of stands within your company and industry?
Okay, so as a project manager, I don't know where I should start, with the industry or move into the project. Okay, let me start with our industry. I work in the transportation industry, specifically the rail sector. So we do turnkey projects for government. And what happens is, once we sell a project, we require someone internally to run that project, to make sure it meets the customer requirements, deadlines, and it stays within the cost that we agree to. So my position is that I would either, depending on the size of the project, manage the whole project by myself, or just manage a section of that project. And then my daily activities to that would be coming in and making sure that we, deliver what we've promised. So I would manage teams and subcontractors, manage the client. So there's many aspects to it, but that's the broad overview.
Okay, so it sounds pretty intense actually with I mean, it's like the sheer volume of stuff that you have to deal with on a daily basis. And obviously you're dealing with lots of people as well. So how do you sort of navigate dealing with people and your deadlines and your costs and everything?
Okay, so the people aspect is so different. So, you have internally, you have your teams, which is generally quite easy. Actually, it's not, depending on the people and who you're dealing with. Then you have your subcontractors, which is the external party, and then you have your client as well, which is externally. And your relationship is very different with all three parties. I think with your internal teams, you're more yourself and you're willing to be more open with them because it's within your company. And the boundary line is a bit further than what it would be with your subcontractors. So with your subcontractors, I'm usually a bit harder and more to the point, just so that we still have a good relationship. It's just that it's, you know, there's definitely more of a position of you're the client and they're your subcontractors. They're working for you. And then with the client, you're in the completely opposite situation where you've got to deal with all their requirements and keep them happy. So it's you kind of jump from one role to the next, and then you kind of switch personalities to match what you need to do, but it's fine. The people side is fine. I quite enjoy it.
So then, once you've got that sort of thing, how do you then, with the sort of cost and time and ensuring that sort of stuff works out, especially because you are managing all these people all at once?
Yeah. So the people is the delivery of your project, and the cost would usually, you really sit with the cost in the beginning of your project. So you cost it then, and you add in all your activities, and you estimate what the total cost would be and what your profit's going to be on the project. And then throughout the project, you're constantly managing what you originally budgeted. Sometimes you've over budgeted, so it's fine, and sometimes you've under budgeted, so you can pull in from other things. But on a cost basis, when you really have a problem is it when there was something that you've never thought of that comes up. Then you've got a problem and you've got to decide how you deal with it. Is it a mistake on your part? Is it a subcontractor's mistake? Is it something that the client is requiring that you need to recost for? So just depending, but on a day-to-day basis, as long as you don't have anything big, the cost should remain, where it is. But we also follow it using timesheets, progress. You're invoicing at the end of the month. So usually at the end of the month, you can see where you stand.
Okay. So have you ever a sort of like a particularly notable occurrence where something has gone wrong and you've had to sort of navigate it very quickly and that kind of thing, and how did you deal with that kind of thing?
Okay, well, it depends. Like if there's something that happens on site that you've not planned for, and a decision needs to be made quite quickly, you have to still notify your client, and then you make a decision according to the situation. Then you've got to assess the situation. Is it the client's expense? Is it your expense? Is it a mistake? How do we deal with it? It's so hard to just explain one aspect because there's so many things that are tied to it that that could have caused the mistake, and there's a lot of areas that you've got to look at. So if I could give you a specific example, it'd be easier, but a general example is a bit difficult to do.
Okay, well, would you like to try a specific example? I don't know if that would help.
Well, okay, so you're trying to see if there is a problem, how I would go about solving it.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to determine from the question. Okay. Yeah. So generally, if a problem comes up, you'd either get it, most of the time you get a problem and it's from your subcontractors or your internal team. And then you decide, okay, well, is it actually a problem or is it something you can solve and take the solution to the client? Then let's just say that it's something that we've come across that was never specified originally. So we've realized that it's a requirement and it should be there and it isn't, and we'll come up with a solution to it, and we'll approach the client and be like, we found this, but this is the answer. I feel that it's always best to take an answer instead of a problem, or if you want to take a solution to your client. You don't want to be like, this is wrong, fix it. So okay. That's usually how it works. I think the most intricate part is the cost. That's always a debate. No one ever really wants to accept the cost of new things. So the steps of solving the problem is the same. You get a problem, you decide the best way to approach it, and then you have to inform your client. But the cost is the tricky.
Okay, cool. So if you look at your daily work and what you achieve on a daily basis with your ability to manage so many different areas and that kind of thing, would you say that that kind of role helps you achieve your overall aims and goals professionally, if you do have particular aims and goals professionally? And what would those aims be? sort of where are you looking to move into and that kind of thing?
Okay, well, aims and goals professionally would be definitely developing a very, I want to say, personal leadership style. So I know that if I had to get into a management role, I'd like to be a certain type of leader, that you have certain skills to encourage and motivate and also to develop people. So where I am now in my company, there's a lot of different people and a lot of different types of management skills and qualities that you see. So what's nice about that is that I get to experience firsthand different types of leadership and decide, which are qualities that I would like to build. And I can see qualities that I have in myself sometimes that I maybe want to change, or maybe I want to develop that further. That I like from my working environment. And then also the business side. Because sometimes I think you don't expect something to challenge you. And then you're in a situation that you wouldn't have necessarily put yourself in, but you're learning a lot from it. So you get into a situation, you were like, okay, this I can learn, and you're challenging your business mind constantly, and you're growing your personal skills. So that I like that I can get from work. And then, sorry, I forgot what else you asked. Those are my goals and yeah.
Yeah. So if you had, from where you are now, if you had very particular sort of aims that you'd like to achieve as you move forward in your professional career, what would those be? So you've said already that you'd like to create your own very personal managerial style and that kind of thing. So with that, I mean, obviously you're looking for a more managerial role.
Yes.
So when you're thinking about that kind of role and the company that you would work for, are there any particular things that stand out and you'd really want out of those roles?
From the company?
Yeah.
Well, I've been with my current company for 5 years, and I feel that it's a bit hard to expect everything you want from your company. Like, your company can do so much. So you can get into a company and they have a good work environment and they have a very positive attitude towards things, but everyone has their own personality within the company. So what I would like from the company is that if I went into a mid-management position, is that you'd have enough freedom to change certain aspects. So it would be nice if there was, more freedom to do things. So we're in a global corporate, and it's very structured. So, everyone kind of follows the same thing. But personality-wise, you can always, on a personal relationship with people, you can always change things. So if I went into my next company, I would expect them to give me enough responsibility to be able to change the environment that I'm in. So you can't really ask a company to give you what you want, but if they could allow me the flexibility to create what I want, then I would be quite happy.
Okay. So just on that same vein, it's quite an interesting idea. So when you say sort of enough responsibility to give you the allowance to change what you personally see could be for the betterment of the company and stuff like that, do you think there is a current sort of trend or problem with businesses where if you don't allow your managers that kind of freedom, you're kind of limiting your company's capacity to do things?
No, I don't think you limit. I think all companies would like their managers to encourage their workforce. I think maybe in the older management styles, because I've been experienced to both, like the younger managers and the older managers. Sometimes they're so used to doing it by the book that they forget that they can maybe encourage in a different way. And I feel that the younger generation expects more from work. Like, our parents went to work and they just wanted to get their paycheck and move along. Where the younger generation wants to feel like they've added, and they want to feel needed in their relationship, and like in the company relationship, and they want to feel like they're making a difference. And it's more to do with our personal fulfillment now, not only just the paycheck at the end of the month. So I think you have to kind of create that sense of needing where people want to work harder, and appreciation, I think.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. I completely agree. It's quite a stark contrast, I actually think. So it's quite interesting that you bring that up. Because I've spoken to a lot of people and no one has actually mentioned that. Um, so I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it is quite big. And what's weird is we see it in our office a lot because, with the younger generation, we see lots of graduates coming in, and you see the managers don't really know how to approach them. And they think it's because they're lazy, but they're not. They want to be challenged and they want to be pushed and encouraged. And I think you just got to sometimes allow people the leeway to make a mistake so that they can learn at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. So would you say like this is a particular question I also asked Wayne. And with regards to what you've just spoken about, would you say that that's sort of an issue facing business culture in South Africa at the moment? And if you can think of anything else where as you look at business or your industry, where they might be falling short or they might be doing really well, and why you think that is?
So the business culture in South Africa, I attended the One Young World Conference last year, and there were lots of young professionals from all over the world. And from what I understand, it seems to be more of a worldly problem where young people want to feel appreciated, needed, and as if they added to society. You want to feel that you're uplifting your community or your country. So I feel that's more on a global scale. But in South Africa, in our business culture, from my first-hand experience, I feel that we fall short sometimes with ownership and responsibility. So sometimes people don't really want to accept ownership of their work, and they don't want to take the responsibility of their tasks. So it sometimes always falls out of their hands. But on the other hand, I feel that we're good when it comes to teamwork. So sometimes when there's a good leader and a good management skill and there's good structure, then the team works really well together. I have yet to see or experience teamwork as well as we do in our country. And I've been exposed to a lot of German colleagues and stuff, but the team spirit that we can build locally is it's really good compared to what you experience overseas.
Okay, that's quite interesting. And do you think that there's any particular reason for that, or do you just think it's like sort of built into, like entrenched in like a South African identity almost?
I think it's kind of like a South African thing. Like if you had to meet someone and you were out, you'd usually sometimes just be friendly. We're quite a friendly, country as is, but I don't know why, the team spirit I think is good. I think because we're all working towards a common goal and, you work together and you motivate each other and you can get there. I don't know why, in other cultures it might not be as evident, but I mean, I think it's nice that it's there. It's a good positive.
Yeah. So I suppose also as a manager, that would be something that you would try to develop in your teams and that kind of thing as you move forward.
Oh yeah.
So that's yeah.
Yeah.
So that's quite cool. So I'm just trying to think. So your work it sounds really interesting and it seems very complex. So I'm sort of trying to navigate it in my brain. But just out of interest, like how did you sort of, okay, so this is relating to a question I asked when you and Wayne were both sort of together.
Okay.
How did you get into this line of work? Obviously to give people context when they first watch the interview and that kind of thing.
Okay. Do you want me to start from my university career or just?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Okay.
can give me a career and then go from there.
So I started studying, and my strong points as well as strong skills were math and science, and I figured engineering would be such a good bet. So I, registered and I started to study aeronautical engineering because I was interested in airplanes. I thought, wow, that would be an interesting field to go in. And I studied that for 2 years, and it was very technical, as in, you'd work out the stress and strain on the airplane and how the flight and the air would lift it, and I was just like, oof, this is not, like, it was nice to know how to do it, but I just couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. So I thought, okay, let me see what other options are out there. And I found more in industrial engineering, which is very business side. So you still have a good, solid technical background with really nice problem-solving skills where you can sometimes stand back and look at a problem. But then the industrial side of it brought into the business aspect and, just to see things differently. So how you manage your operations, make things more efficient, you want to clean up the process. So it was very business-like, and it wasn't in accounting, which was nice. So I was like, okay, this sounds like I would really enjoy it, and I continued with that. And the first year I started studying it, I really loved it, and then I completed it And when I was in my final year, everyone was finding jobs and I still hadn't looked. So I decided, okay, I need to look. And I applied to 2 companies and I had an interview with both. And I chose my current company because it was closer and we were in a time of recession. And the other one was an automotive industry. And I just thought, what if they shut the factory down? I won't have a job. So I was like, my current company has a large portfolio. Let me rather, it's a better risk. So I went for the interview and I got the job and I started in logistics and I worked in that division for about a month. And one of the other projects was short of an engineer and we weren't very busy. And I said to him, can I please join your project? I don't know much about rail. I'm not an electrical engineer, but I would like to learn. And he said, sure. So I joined in the rail industry on passenger information systems. So we basically designed and installed systems on railway stations that provided passengers with information, what time the trains were coming, what time they'll leave, if there were signs everywhere, just to make your travel experience a bit better. And I did that for about 2.5 years and I enjoyed it. It didn't have much to do with what I studied, but there were aspects of industrial engineering that I could implement, like during our manufacturing processes and things like that. I did that and worked very hard and very much involved in the company itself in the first 2 years. So the first 2 years, I would say, I learned about how the company worked. And you're fresh, you're a graduate. You don't know about corporate. You don't know about, costs and cost centers and client relationships and subcontractors. You just don't know all these things. So those 2 years, I definitely learned a lot. And then I did quite well, and I was promoted to a technical project manager. So I handled a small team, and we managed installations and factory acceptance testing and handovers, but not much to do with the cost. Very technical based. And I did that for about a year, and I did some client interfacing but more on the technical side. Again, nothing to do with cost. Did that for about a year, and that was also a big learning experience. Even though it was the same project, just the different role and what's involved was a lot. And then when the project was done, as a team, we did very well. We really succeeded, and the company was very proud of us. And my boss asked if I would like to take on a different role to learn more about sales and what actually goes into winning a project. And I said yes. And then I did tendering for about a year. It's like little projects. So you have a deadline and you can't move it, and you're stressed and overworked and tired and you must deliver. So I did that for a year, and it was nice because you got to realize what your client is looking for. And you also learn from tendering that you really got to understand your customer and their requirements to give them what they want. So you learn to listen. So you build something that they would want, and you give them a pretty proposal that they can look through and is comprehensive, and they either say, yes, we want you to do the project, or no. So I did that for a year, and it was tough, and I learned a lot about our internal processes, because our company it's like you do 2 tenders. One is for your client, and the other one is for your managing board. And they have to approve it first before you can give it to your client. So it was 2 things that I definitely got very involved in, and then also teamwork. And that was my first experience of managing a team and deliverables and things like that. So that was quite nice. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm very tired of tendering. Please, let's try something else. And he said, you now need to go into project management so you can have a good feel. He asked me, there were 2 choices that I could have made, and it was either project management or go into business strategy. And I said to him that I want to end up in business strategy, but I feel that I have to go into project management because there's things I still need to learn. So the learning for me was still the costing, how you run a project on a day-to-day basis, and just day-to-day activities, dealing with people, clients, subcontractors, internal team, your commercial manager, your reporting structure. So you report to your director, your project manager. I had to learn that to understand that. I feel just to understand the complete business process for me to eventually go into strategy. So I would like to go into strategy, but I've also learned that I like to deal with people. So that's a bit of a tough one.
Okay, wow. So what I got for that is you kind of have learned a massive amount in a couple of years, which is very, I mean, it's incredibly impressive, especially considering these sort of different areas seem to be very abstract from one another, even though they're on the same project.
Yeah,
So would you say that? I mean, I'm assuming that you are someone who kind of thrives on knowledge and learning.
you're so right. Yes, I do like knowledge. I do like learning. What's made it very interesting is that I've had different managers throughout, and every every role I could take so much from the current manager. And then you see like how they interact with people, how they strategize, how they position themselves, and it's so nice to learn that because sometimes you think, wow, that's something I never want to do. But most of the time, it's like, wow, I wish I could have thought of that. Like I want to do that. So it's nice because you're kind of teaching yourself all the time. So you're challenging your brain, and then when you interact with people, it's a different. I feel like it's more of an emotional side when you connect with people. So when you want to encourage them and stuff, you've really got to get in touch with your emotions and their emotions, and you've got to understand their person. But when you're more on the business side, you can completely switch that off. And then just think like use the intellectual side of your brain, like, okay, this is what we want to do, that's where we want to go, and then you're not really worried about that's going to make someone sad. So it's a
Yeah.
nice balance.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, it sounds like you have quite a cool, like a really intense basis for a lot of things. So when you're looking, I mean, obviously now you're looking to move.
Yeah.
I'm assuming to get more knowledge and expand. So what you're looking for now, I'm assuming it would need to be something that's really intellectually stimulating and something that teaches you more new interesting things. So what would be the main skills and interests you'd like to sort of achieve in your next role, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. You said the main skills and
And sort of the main skills and uh, intellectual stimulation and like skill set learning, all that sort of thing.
okay, so I've also learned that it can sometimes get very slow in an organization, and that you just got to learn to deal with the ups and downs. So it was really fast for a while, and then it's kind of slowed. My learning curve has kind of slowed a little in the past 2 years. But what I would want from it is that, yes, I do want to be intellectually challenged, but I also know that it's very hard to be in a position where it challenges you all the time because that usually requires a very high stress position. So let's say that if I was in a position that challenged me intellectually, it doesn't have to be high stress on a day-to-day basis, that's great. But I also want to learn from the people that I interact with. So if I was reporting to different managers and directing a team, I would want to learn from all of them. So it could be learning about what the business does, maybe they provide different solutions, or it could be learning about, you know, the people themselves. It doesn't have to be a specific challenge. It would just need to be that it keeps me interested. So as long as I don't want to say that it has to be high stress all the time because sometimes people, just think that that's what you want. It's just that if I had to move, I would want to know that I'm going to learn something new, so a new industry, the same industry, whatever, it would be a different company, and that I could learn from what would I want from the people? I guess it would get the same. It would just be a different company culture.
Okay. Is there like specific sort of company culture you're looking for, or is that something that you'd kind of want to, as you go along, you kind of absorb and get used to?
Oh, I think evolve and get used to because I mean that's part of the learning. So you want to adapt, see if you can adapt, and then also every company culture will have their positives and negatives. So how would you fit in, and can you either make it more positive, or are you just so amazed at how positive everyone is?
Okay. And then one final question. Obviously, so you've covered your own personal development and your growth and your learning and all that kind of thing. And just out of interest, have you noticed a similar sort of growth and development and changes in the industry that you work in over the time that you've been working in it, or has it sort of stayed the same as you've gone through it?
Oh no, it's definitely, our industry has definitely grown. When I started working in the rail sector, they hadn't really done any real big projects for the past 20 to 25 years. And when I said to you, I started tendering. In that tendering phase, that was the time when the rail industry said they're going to invest about 20 billion rand in infrastructure improvement. So those are some of the tenders that added to that budget. And the industry is growing massively. So there's signaling upgrades that are happening across the country. This is to passenger rail and freight rail. And then there's new rolling stock, which is the passenger trains, and there's locomotives. So there's a big change in the industry. The industry is massive at the moment, and it's a booming industry. So do you want to? Sometimes I wonder if I should leave the industry, but I think maybe it would be a good change.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We actually just one more question, and it's quite a weird one. But sort of, would you, looking back on your experiences and everything that you've you've worked your way up and that kind of thing, would you give or would you have any advice to give anyone who sort of is starting in industrials engineering degree and how they should pursue that kind of career or anything like that?
As a graduate, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel when you just join a company, it's a lot. There's a lot you can do. So, if you show initiative and you ask for work and you prove yourself, it's great. But it also depends on your environment and your manager. So if your manager doesn't constantly help you improve or grow, you're in a tough spot. So let's hope you have a good manager. You work hard, you take initiative, you solve problems, you learn from everyone. Don't stay focused in your field. So try and learn from the finance side, the technical guys, to really broaden what you do and learn about the company, and you will generally grow, and you might not grow where I grew to, but hopefully you'll find what you want to do. And then the thing is, if you have a bad manager that doesn't help you grow, I think you would have to stay in a company, get as much as you can from there, and you would have to leave to the next one, because if you're in a position where you're stuck, it's not going to change, so you'll have to make the change.
Okay, cool. So I think that should be everything, unless you have anything you'd like to add.
No, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I just don't know. There was one question I think I'm not happy with the answer. I'm trying to think what you asked me. It wasn't the culture one. I'm quite happy with that one. I think you asked, it was the goals and aims. Was it that one?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I think I'm not happy with it. Let's
okay, would
redo
you like
that
to
one.
rework it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I suppose what I was oh wait, you want to just speak sort of so you
No,
feel more
to ask me the question and then I can answer it properly.
Okay, cool. So how does your daily work as help you to achieve your overall goals and aims as a professional?
See, the overall goals and aims, they're tough, man. So overall goals and aims would be definitely, I would want to be a good leader in management. And then my aim from working is that eventually you want to, provide solutions and answers to people and to the business that help the business and also help society. Like you want to be making positive change, to all the people that are affected by what you do. So, and then how does my daily work contribute to this?
Yeah.
At the moment, I work on a government project, and I'd like to think that the changes that we're making are going to help everyone in the long term. So help the passengers that use the trains and help the people that run the trains. So that is a positive change for me. And then just also introducing people to new technology and new things and opening their minds and to what can actually be done. That's nice. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm still not happy with it, but it's okay. You can edit it and make it
Well,
pretty.
I mean, the whole thing is obviously I will send this through to you. So if you don't like the end product, all you have to do is say take that out. I don't want that in there, and then I'll just completely remove it. So
Okay,
anything you're uncomfortable with won't be included.
okay, no, that's fine.
Cool.
It's great.
So
I feel like we
yeah,
went a lot quicker than Wayne. Or maybe because I was waiting, I was like, oh my God, why is it taking so long?
yeah. I think you guys were both about half an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm just trying to think if I want to add. I did have an answer for professional. Let me just give me a second in case I don't really want to. I don't really want to do it again. I did say it exposed you to different. I guess you'll have to edit it and we'll have to see how it comes out.
Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. I got some really interesting info, and considering I kind of tend to interview one person a week from different fields, and they usually they stop speaking after like 5 minutes.
Oh,
I've gotten far more now, so that's
that's.
great.
I
Um,
want to ask you something else. So you put the video together, and
yeah,
then you approach companies. Do you have
yeah.
a list of companies? Okay.
So what I do is I'm just the tech geek person who puts the stuff together, and then I give it to Dermot, and he'll look at the what you guys do professionally and where you're looking to go,
Okay.
and then he'll approach specific companies that are looking for or are in line with those kind of they might be in the future looking for someone in those roles.
So he matches
Usually
their
quite
personalities to companies and
yeah.
and okay.
And they're usually quite big companies, from what I understand, like big. So I mean, it'll be yeah. I know he's coming down on the 17th, so I know, or the 16th. So then you guys would be able to sort of chat
We'll
about it
probably
and that kind of
meet
thing.
him then, yes. We will. We should meet him then, I guess. Wayne knows him,
Yeah,
I've never met him, so yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I suppose then you can just get the proper rundown because from the business development perspective, I'm not the the best person to ask because I'm not that like keyed in on that kind of thing. Um,
Okay.
yeah. But cool. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for
Um,
spending time on a Sunday. I'm sure this is how you want to spend your Sunday.
there's always more to get done, so I'll just work. um, but cool, yeah. So I will speak to you soon, and I'll hopefully be sending videos through to you guys soon to take a look. And hopefully you'll like them. But if you don't, feel free to be as brutally honest as you want, and I will make all the changes you ask.
Okay, that's perfect. And then I just want to ask, okay, because like you come across very pixelated.
Yeah.
It,
No, you guys
okay,
are not as. You guys are pretty clear.
really?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
it's not like perfect crystal clear, but it's quite decent, especially
Okay.
because I was interviewing someone well on Google Hangout the other day and I couldn't hear what the person was saying. It was that bad. So you guys are this is good. It's a good line.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, then that's great. Thanks so much, Meg.
Cool. Thank you and have a good
I hope you
evening.
had a good birthday.
Uh, yeah, a little bit too much of a good birthday actually. But
Yeah, a little
such is
rotten.
birthday. Yeah, I went home before anyone else because I was that drunk. Uh,
That's a
yeah.
good sign. Like your friends
Uh,
punish you on your birthday.
yeah. They always
Yeah.
do, and I hate shots. And then you just take all of them.
And they do weird stuff on your birthday. It's not fun. But at least you got drunk and happy.
Until I fell asleep at 12 and everyone else went home at 4. Uh, I'm
Oh
fine.
no. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
cool. Okay, great.
I've had enough. I'm good. I'll see you guys later. Yeah.
So we'll speak to you sometime during the week.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so have a good evening and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Bye.
Okay, bye.